All right, here we are. Oh, I got a blur on. Who cares? Michael, how's it going, buddy?
Good. How are you doing, Sean?
Good. We've already had a little sidebar, of course, but yeah. No, actually, no. Honestly, it's been a crazy week, but it's been forming. I've had experiences that would be difficult to describe here, but for the most part, all interesting and all entertaining. So, but we're doing our little I've been calling it workshopping funny question mark. Like we're working on bits, materials, whether it's stuff for your stand up stuff for me, maybe to try stand up one day. I'm still not sure if that's where I'm going to go with it, but just having content to use for storytelling or if I ever get a Rockstar Night show back on. I don't know if I told you, but I'm back to that thing of wanting to incorporate hypnosis into the event, and so that has an entertainment piece as well. Like you need to sort of disarm the crowd, and so I'm going to need uh, patter and banter for that stuff too. So
Yeah.
that's I think also where I'm coming from. But why don't we get started? So do you have anything you want to workshop, or do you have anything that you've? Oh, and we were talking about holding you accountable because you have a show in 2 weeks and then a bigger one in a month, right?
I have one show this Sunday, a
Okay.
very short one, and then on the 25th, so 2 weeks from Saturday.
Yeah.
That's the 10-minute one. That's a competition. I don't care about winning it at all. All I want to do is hold my own and fill up most of the 10 minutes. Because my longest set in 5 years has been 8 minutes. So, and I'm also not as experienced as I was during other times. I haven't been up a lot. So at least I'm getting up this Sunday, but it's still going to be a short set. It will be anywhere from like probably 1 to 4 minutes. They'll let me go longer. The whole concept of the show is you just do like a minute or two, but they're usually fine with letting me go a little bit longer, and I talk to them ahead of time. So
It's interesting
yeah,
hearing you talk about like the stretch between 8 and 10 minutes. Like I would think as with stand up, if you're bombing in the first minute and a half, you probably want the set to be over in 2 minutes. So whether you're bombing in 8 minutes or 10 minutes, it's, at that point you're in for the whole ride, right? So you know you
well,
can do it for 8 minutes. You can tack on another 20%.
I'm not worried about that part. It's just 2 minutes of material is a lot more than it feels like. That's a lot of material, unless you just do crowd work and you figure out how to, incorporate the crowd in it. Then you can figure out ways to burn 2 minutes if you're just trying to burn 2 minutes. But I'm not. I'm trying to think of a quality 2 minutes that has a chance to get decent laughs.
Yeah, actually, so let's talk about that for a second. We've talked about crowd work quite a bit, and you haven't done that at all, or at least do you? Because I guess my question is, do you ever get to the point where you're like, I got 10 minutes to do, I've got, because I would think strategically, I'd be like, I'll have 14 minutes of content ready for a 10-minute set with the idea that I'm actually going to try a little crowd work, and if I do that, then it's less prep. It's like sort of your engagement with the crowd, so that you've got enough material that if like the crowd work isn't working, I'll just jump back to my solid gold stuff, right?
Yeah, and with that, you have to have such a good like internal clock because there's not going to be any red light. I mean, sometimes for some events they have a red light, which will be like a minute warning. We'll blink a few times. I'm usually so zoned in, I don't even see it. So I do kind of have to feel where I am. And usually I know. So for me, usually 500 words of text is about 5 minutes. Anywhere from about 450 to 500 is like a 5 minute set.
Hmm.
So then based on that, right now I have about 1,200 words like in the stuff I want to talk about. So I should be fine there, but you can hit different speeds. And if you're not getting a lot of laughs, if there's not breaks for laughter, you're going to go quicker. So I could still burn through that 1,200 way before 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. So, like, really, places don't have a clock. Now that you say that, that one amateur night that I went to that I told you about, the woman would stand up and light a lighter. That was kind of like her signal, and I'd never
Ooh.
seen that before. But it seemed, and at the time, I was like, "Wow, is she ever being cruel? Like she's trying to tell this guy get off the stage." But I guess that was the, you got a minute left, dude. But
Yeah, that's helpful. Other places they'll just like, oh, you ran over. Like, especially during structured shows, they don't have that at all. You have to know. And so I actually had a watch at one point. I gotta find it, digital watch that would subtly, like, I could click it to keep track of my time, and then and I'd have it like facing the inside. So if I made a gesture, I could look at it without it being too, you know,
Hmm.
without it taking away from
Yeah,
the
I mean,
people.
as you were describing, like needing to do that and knowing that you and I have a lot of similarities in our design, and not wanting to look at your phone and not look at at stuff. I mean, I've got an Apple Watch. I think what I would do is set a couple of alarms that are vibrate only and different
Oh yeah.
sensations. So you'd have your 3 minute, your 2 minute, your 1 minute. Nobody can tell. It's just vibrated on your wrist, right? But I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm wearing these new, or not, they've been out for 2 years. It's new to me. These AfterShock Jawbone headphones.
Okay.
Dude, within an hour of getting them, I gave my AirPods to my daughter. I'm never going to buy another
Wow.
pair of AirPods again. So again, I got this and you've got that Gate 57 as well. We're going to human design talk for a sec, but we're very auditory, how we take in information, and acoustically sensitive. And so I have realized that I really don't like having things in my ear because I can't actually get information from the room through my ears when they're in. But these, they rattle your jawbone. So I'm hearing the music inside my head, but I can hear everything around me. And so I've been experimenting with
Wow.
like playing music really low all the time, like literally walking around with a personal soundtrack all day, which is helping me focus because I'm not hearing every single sound that isn't for me. You know what I mean? Like no one's actually asking
Yeah.
me things. So it's giving me quiet and calm. Um, but I can also play with binaural stuff. So you could have like different tones and stuff. So like as you were talking, I was thinking like even live, I could see having them on, clicking a little button, and having it play whatever I need to just have in the background so that I can relax. So if it's music, if it's some sort of frequency band, but you could also make your own track that's like next bit to be thinking about your KFC joke. 30 seconds left. Like you could, no one would hear
Hmm.
it. No one would know. All they would see is this thing. And
Okay.
honestly, I walk around and I forget I have it on. It's so light and comfortable. So, anyways, there's my endorsement for these things. I'm like game changer, unbelievable. I'm gonna go play pickleball tonight in them, and my intent is to see if my focus problems go away. I think they will because I'll be
Okay.
able to shut out the things I won't want without having like losing my actual acoustic intuition.
And I should probably introduce Nacho in case anybody tunes in. She decided to join me today. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, no, that's cool. So yeah, I've been working on my set list, been working on different material. I try to expand on the idea of Mental Health Awareness Month. Because we were talking a little bit about that last time, and just I can't remember I think you had said something about like, who even plans these months. So
Mhm.
I tried to look at other ones that stood out as odd. So we have
Well, and maybe
in
for anyone listening, the core principle of the joke was why is Mental Health Month in the longest possible month of the year? Like why,
yes, for
right?
people that struggle with mental health issues.
Like why didn't you choose February? Already a great starting premise, right? So sorry, go on from there. So
Yep. So yeah. So what I have right now is like, by the way, what asshole picked the months we celebrate? People who struggle with mental health issues and have a hard time getting through each day. Let's give them the longest month of the year. Black History Month, celebrating people that just want to be treated equal. Let's give them the shortest month of the year. And
yeah,
let's put Disabled Pride Month in the hottest month of the year in July. And I know, yeah, this one, yeah, is you can be my barometer here if this is going too far, and I don't think it is. It's
you're
meant to
asking
be
me to be your
lighthearted.
barometer.
What's that?
You're asking me to be your barometer. You're usually
Good point. Good
yeah,
point. So
but yeah,
here's what I have. All right. And so, yeah, let's put Disabled Pride Month in the hottest month of the year, July. And I know Hispanic Heritage Month, it won't even start at the beginning of the month. No, we'll have it begin in the middle of one month and then jump into the next month.
sorry, I got distracted there, so I didn't actually hear the joke.
Yep.
Say that one more time.
And this, okay. So let's put Disabled Pride Month in the hottest month of the year, July. And I know Hispanic Heritage Month won't even start at the beginning of the month. We'll have it begin in the middle of one month and then jump on over to the other month.
Oh, I see. Like
And then
immigrate.
the next line is what? Did that joke cross the borderline?
Yeah, yeah,
Instead of
good.
cross the line.
I
That's my
missed it
first.
partly.
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, I missed it partly because of your cat, but it's very subtle and nuanced. So I wonder if it just needs a little.
Need something harder because I wanted to, yeah, I need it to be more obvious, and I do not want it to be offensive. Like obviously, it's playing on a stereotype, and it's possible somebody could be offended by it, but it's supposed to be comedy, and it's not supposed to. I'm not punching down on anybody or anything. It's um
No, where it's gotten to a point where everyone's offended about everything because
right,
it makes them virtue signal
right,
behind the keyboard. So yeah,
right.
you know what? Whatever at this point.
So
But
if I said crossover, what would I say if I said invade the next month? Would that be too far? That would be a little clear probably.
I think all that was fine. What was interesting is when you because what was it uh,
Heritage Month,
Hispanic Heritage Month. I think what tripped me up is I didn't really hear the word Hispanic. You either were already nervous about the joke and
probably.
didn't right, so I didn't because it won't land if they don't know what you're talking about.
No, it
And
won't at all.
Hispanic, it's interesting, but Hispanic Heritage Month is a lot of syllables. And when I think about my mind following that pattern, I by the time you got to the joke, I somehow lost it. And I think in a
Ooh,
world of attention deficit, that's the bigger problem. So maybe because the joke itself is fine and the punchlines are great, or
okay.
it's all great, but if you didn't hear it, or then the whole thing will fall apart, right? Because it's the key ingredient is the reference to it. I don't think it's offensive at all. Like it's what's actually happening as racism against Mexico, right? Like it's
Why? Because
not.
I'm trying to poke at the person whoever decided this. Like, yes, it's not. They weren't trying to do that with it, but it's true. So it starts September 15th, goes to October 15th. It's the only month celebrating anybody that crosses into another month. So that's what I was trying to play
Yeah.
off of here. So what do you think would not be so nuanced about jumping on over to the next month? Or do you think there's, again, I don't want to be like overly offensive, but to
No, I
make it
would
clear that,
double down on that joke. I would start with jumping over it, but then what was your follow up? Crossing the
did
border.
that joke cross the borderline?
Yeah, I would be using both because you could, or you could basically get two for one on that one. But they got to understand that what are you talking about? And I
Right.
definitely missed the Hispanic part at the beginning.
So
So
if I
maybe
just say, so if I say, let's put Disabled Pride Month in the hottest month of the year, July, and I didn't want to go too far into that one, but I was just thinking about like really July, like the hottest month of the year when, yeah, if you're in a wheelchair, hot pleather like against your skin, no thanks. 100-degree weather, or trying to go like those who are disabled have a really hard time going to the beach. Some places have made it easier, but still, it's really hard. So that's the things when I think of July. It's like, why, give them a more comfortable month.
so that's also where that joke could be a bit funnier because I never saw pleather in my mind. I heard hot weather, disabled, and gay, and I was thinking more flamboyant, like Richard Simmons short shorts, like because it's summer, right? So it's already funny, but it'd be like you know
Oh, yeah.
but pleather in the wheelchair in the summer, that's funny. So you're gonna have to you don't have to do anything, but you might want to help paint that picture a little more because my mind went to this is a person wearing the appropriate clothes for outside because there is outside summer clothes that people might say are gay, like bright colors and that kind of thing. So, uh, but the pleather thing didn't cross my mind because I'd be like, that sounds awful. I wouldn't care what I'm into. If it's hot outside, I'm not going to be wearing pleather and sitting down in the sun in the summer. Like, it doesn't matter what day it is and what my needs are. I'm not doing it.
So, but then, yeah, all right. So if I tried this, if I said, yeah, let's put Disabled Pride Month in the hottest month of the year, July, tank tops, shorts, and pleather wheelchairs in 100-degree weather.
Pleather wheelchairs?
Well,
I,
I was thinking, yes, pleather on. That's where the joke was coming from. I wasn't thinking of like pleather pants, just because why would you wear that in July? You're right. That is funny, but I don't think I can make a connection there.
oh, I could. Like when you think about, one of my favorite shows, as you know, is Arrested Development with Tobias
I
Funke,
just watched the episode yesterday.
right? And remember, he kept going to the gothic arsehole. Uh,
Oh
and
yeah,
so it was like
Leather
an
Daddy.
S&M, Leather Daddy S&M den, right? And he was like, I'm not gay, but everyone was telling him he's gay, and so he was dressing the part because I think he thought it was an acting job as usual. And when you said pleather, I'm thinking like black chaps and stuff. So so if you could paint, like you could tie that right together, I think actually.
Okay.
So
I don't know how to. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. I'll have to
yeah.
think about that.
Was it uncomfortable or
No, I want it to feel. I don't know. I don't quite get the connection yet, so that's what I need to find.
well? And I guess all I'm saying is my mind went somewhere else when you told it. So
Okay.
maybe there's just not enough guardrails that the joke could misland because the picture isn't clear enough yet. Because it's funny either way. I think it's hysterical. You're like wearing like, and then not pleather at this point. It's like full on leather chaps and stuff in the summer. Like it's just cruel, right? Like,
All right. So the hottest month of the year, July, and Hispanics, their month won't even start at the beginning of the month. We'll have it begin in the middle of one month and then jump on over into the next month. What did that joke cross the borderline? That's what I have so far.
I'll come back to the Hispanic Heritage Month. A lot of syllables. Got to be like really clear what you're talking
So
about.
now I just said Hispanics.
Yeah. Yeah.
This time I said Hispanics.
Yeah, maybe you just snuck up on me. I was still processing my thought from the other term.
Okay.
I realized, we're in the joke. So yeah. Yeah. It's already clearer for sure.
Okay.
But that was the thing I was thinking is I couldn't quite follow you on it. But
okay. So if I changed okay, hold on. Here we go. This is how I do it. All right, so this is here, changing the structure a little bit to put it closer, put the subject closer to the punchline. So let's put Disabled Pride Month in the hottest month of the year, July. And instead of starting their month on the 1st, we'll start Hispanic month on the 15th and have it jump over into the next month. I still need to figure out the wording a little bit better. Does that work a little bit better?
And that's like true. Like it's or you're presenting that's true because
it's true. It starts September 15th and it goes to October 15th. It's the only one that starts mid-month.
That I think it's really important to say the months because
good.
Right, because like you just said, it's the only thing that does that.
Yeah.
So it's already hard to follow. I'm like, oh yeah, would I be like if it's month but it's in the middle of the month, like it's like it's a duration versus a named month. So I would definitely say the month. So whatever you said, September to.
Okay, September 15th.
Yeah.
And jump on over into October, but I don't think jump on over is clear enough either. I feel like it could be better.
Sneaks on over into the next month, like overflows. Overflows into the next month because that's the general American concern is they're all coming here and they're taking jobs and so
they took our jobs.
Yeah, the jobs that nobody wants because
right.
And they don't want
helpful positions. We need people.
Yeah.
We need people doing the helpful jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone in Mexico is going great. I get to clean the bathrooms at an American Taco Bell. They're just happy to be able to pay their rent, and other people like they're taking our jobs. they don't want the job in the first place. They don't want robots to do jobs. They just want to sit in their rascal scooter, motorized because they can't get up and walk. I'm gonna rant here, but anyways, I'm
All
just
right, so here's all right. There's so many options we can go with. Right now, we'll start Hispanic Month on September 15th and sneak it on through into October.
Mhm. Yeah. There's so many words and you could probably expand on that. So because sneak, overflow, spill into.
Yeah, it's got to be clear.
How do you get across the border? It's over.
Invade is a word that they've used before, like it's crazy, just people wanting to
Yeah.
alert people to make them concerned about it. Invade, or I think there's been other words used too, like they call it an invasion, which
It's crazy because an invasion is from one country to another. I'm pretty sure. So
well,
this is
and
that's
that's
where
what this is.
no, this is people trying to get out of their country because they're like
Right.
starving to death. There's no empathy in that response by calling it an invasion. That is like there's no integrity in calling it that. Whoever's saying that needs to give their head a shake. But um, yeah, so they're spilling in, and so they go over the fence. People are digging in, right? Yeah, so there could be something about like if you dug that joke, I've got another or something, and you could really play into that because you could play into the various ways that the month spills over and why it stands out. How much research did you do on the various months? Because there's months for everything, I'm
Oh,
sure.
just a little bit. Just looked up a couple lists and then just thought about which ones stood out as far as the group it's supporting and the time of year and what sense that makes. Those
Dude,
were the ones that
you could build so much content around certain days of the year, certain months of the year, this pride, that pride, this pride. Like you could have a backlog of 60 minutes of it. And then because it's in your arsenal, you pull the ones that feel right with the crowd instead of being like, oh, tonight all I've got is my, um, this ethnicity thing. And I don't want to do that. Like you could play with that so much, the meaning of why Valentine's Day is in February. Why is this here? Like that observation could extend 365 days of the year. Plus, there's 12 months of the year, of which I'm sure that many months don't. You could even go on about like, does anyone truly get to own that day? Like, I bet if you look today, you look on any
there's a
social
ton
media.
every day. There's no, it's crazy. I've done this before for creating social media content for companies. We've looked up like silly ones and stuff, and
Yeah.
just because it's a way to get content when you don't have any good content.
Well, and it's been automated to the point where like if you sign up for Canva or all these other services, they give you a calendar, they tell you it every day, and they give you the content pre-baked now. So it's just like, oh, today is National Hug Your Uncle that's got a half beard day, and here's like you could.
All right,
It's
do you want to know the ones for today?
sure.
All right, we have National Homefront Heroes Day, National Alphabet Magnet Day,
No.
National Sleepover Day.
Okay.
There's more. National Butterscotch Brownie Day. That's a very niche
That's
brownie
great.
to have its own day.
Sure.
National Moscato Day, so an excuse to drink lots of wine. And here, this is my favorite. Here we go. This is worth the day. National Lost Sock Memorial Day. So celebrating our fallen lost socks. You were brave. Sorry that you got lost in the dryer that one day, but you will not be forgotten, lost sock.
Yeah. Well, dude, you could explore. What is the process to secure a day, and how many different days can accommodate a day? Because can you have exclusivity? Like in the NHL, they retired Wayne Gretzky's number. No hockey
Barry
player.
Sanders, Lions number 20 is retired. Yep.
Right. So yeah, I got 99 with Wayne Gretzky, 20 with, and then I'm sure Jordan's number was probably
For the Bulls at least, yeah.
For the Bulls, yeah. But like, when do you do it league wide? Like,
no,
there's only
the only other one I think is Jackie Robinson, but then on Jackie Robinson Day, everybody can wear that jersey number.
Mm-hmm. So
But yeah,
you could talk about the process to have your day submitted. The crack team that decided what was the one was very specific, like caramel brownie day or whatever. Like
a
who
butterscotch brownie day.
like who got to decide that, or do you just make up your own day? And is it just another label that we're trying to apply to something somewhere?
What,
And
what
how far will it go?
Yeah. And what I like is, so today's National Lost Sock Memorial Day. I don't feel like this is a coincidence. Tomorrow, one of the days is National Clean Up Your Room Day. So you might be able, you know, you're casting off your lost socks, and then the next day you find it.
Yeah. Well, and if you could find matches, or think, even you could just invent days because no one's going to fact check you, but it could be like certain days are too far apart. So, sock day and laundry day are a day apart. So, the gap but like say this day and that day are separated by 3 months. But like that's, if it was National Cucumber Day and National Pickle Day, like how long can you pickle that cucumber for it? I don't know. It's terrible, but you get the idea. Like it'd be the endless stream of potential that could be its own set, or at the very least, give you the flexibility with sort of crowd work to just run with it. Like, oh, you sir, you with the golf hat. Did you know it was blah day, right? And actually that's a way you could experiment with crowd work, is have that as a theme. What kind of day? What kind of month? What kind of shirt day? I mean, isn't there certain shirts? Orange. Like in Canada, there's Orange Shirt Day, which is all about Indigenous kids that were taken from their homes, and like it's awful Canadian history. So maybe you wouldn't touch shirt days actually at the end of the day, but you know, ooh, that got dark for a second there. Where? Sorry. Hmm. I think there's so much stuff there that could be a foray into crowd work, but you would want to have a whack of them. Like just as soon as it comes up, like we got the Trello list, just as you see it, as you think about it, ask ChatGPT for 200 real day celebrations, but then also ask it to fabricate 200 and provide a meaning behind each, so that you can then, because once you've read it, you don't have to memorize it. You just have to remember the nuance. Like keep the ones that you like, because it's fantastic for at least giving you stuff that can then be fed into your delivery and comfort by knowing you've got an abundance of material and you could actually roll with the vibe of the room a bit and the people in the
Yeah.
room.
And I have done crowd work before, the tiniest bit, and it was planned crowd work, and it was during my best performance. There was a part in a joke where I could pick out somebody. I ask a woman's name and I incorporate her into the joke. I already have everything planned, but it was just a simple way to make it seem like I was, well, yes, to interact with the crowd, but it was just very planned.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of like things left up for chance.
Yeah, no, this would be, I think, gives you flexibility to take some risks, and always have your 10 minutes set in the bank, but
Yeah.
give yourself, like, if I were to try some crowd work, it'd be around the 6 minute mark during this material that I know I can come back to. But then your crowd work stuff could be making observations about dates and months, and like I'm sure that could turn into a whole thing, and just concepts like that you could explode on. I guess I'm excited about that because I think if I were to do any kind of stand up, I would probably lean towards crowd work. I think I'd enjoy that because I would want to have the little interaction. That's what I love about our Rockstar Nights band show, right? As musicians, we're interacting with the crowd. We're not just playing a show. It's kind of like a piano bar, and it's interactive. So I already know that that's what I want. But that's really, really interesting. Okay, well, if you don't use it, I might.
Okay. But yeah, so that's how I expanded on that initial idea of Mental Health Awareness Month in May.
Cool.
So I'm hoping that goes well. That part I will try out on Sunday, along with the Tooth Fairy story that we had talked about before.
Mm. So, and that's 2 minutes, right?
This one, so anywhere from like 1 to 4, the set.
Okay.
And I'm guessing it's probably around 3, and I'm just trying out. I'm just going to do pretty much new material for this one because I want to see if it works. And it's usually pretty clear if something needs to be changed. So I'm going to try to make sure to have my phone on record mode, just for the audio, and then force myself to listen to it. I hate it. I tried to go back and listen to some of my old sets this past week, and I just couldn't do it. It's so hard for me.
I'm sure, and I for me too, which is why I never go back and watch anything that I do online. But I think you need to, and I think you need to
Yeah.
video record it, just because you might be like, "Holy cow, I'm always covering my mouth and you can't hear me," or like, and I'm just saying that because your hand's on your mouth right now. But you might discover there's some other couple other things you're like, if you just had a little situational awareness around that, right? Because other people may not pick up on it, but you might be like, "Oh, I don't like that about my set," right? Just a behavior that you don't notice that you're doing because maybe you're anxious or nervous or whatever. So yeah, I would video it. Even you don't have to look at the video at first. Just do the audio, hate that, and then maybe look at the video after. Or if you're really, that's not even really brave. Share it with some people afterwards and ask them for feedback on it. Like get post observational support, right? Because the people in the room are other comedians, right? And for the most part, they're already thinking about their own sets, so they're not really
And
even.
most places, this one will not quite be, probably about half and half, but there will be some of an action. It's not an open mic quite. It's a little bit more of a show that some people will pay to see. So it's a little bit different than just a free open mic.
Really? But they're letting you do between 1 and 4 minutes? Because I know you have a tight 3 or a tight 5, but they're going to give you like if you finish early, the next guy is just like, oh shit, I got to get up, and he doesn't even have a sense of when he's going to
Oh
be
no,
on.
like it's like half planned, but they try to make it look like it's more like on a whim with names in the bucket. Anybody can submit to try to do stand up, but I've helped plan with the event. Like I helped plan it over the last couple of years. So like they'll let me do longer, and they also have other people that they are paying a little bit to do longer sets. I'm just not going to do like 5 or 10 minutes, but they'll let me go longer than the like 1 or 2 that some people will do.
Cool. We're pretty much at time because I know you need to go about 1:45 today. Unless there's anything else you want to like, I'm good for time. I just want to make sure that you're good because I know you had to deal with your kids. But
Okay. Yeah. Well, we could go another 5. I'd like to at least touch on like, yeah, what you're thinking, or I don't know, do a short brainstorm over something we could do for you.
let me think about what I need right now. Oh, did I told you I'm going on vacation? Right? Decided just
Yeah.
to go to Mexico. So in the next 12 days, I don't need any comedy bits. Um, when I come back, we're gonna host a music bingo night here, just at Funky Town, and it'll be like 30 people. So it's mostly people playing and having mocktails and playing music bingo, but you kind of MC that as well. So I've actually been thinking like, as someone that hosts a music bingo thing, you're basically saying, okay, the next song's under the B, and then it plays the artist. But I think really good hosts provide commentary, like almost like a sportscaster, like, did you know that Separate Ways by Journey, blah, 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 blah. But I would rather develop a pattern or something funny. So instead of it just being like, did you know, or pop up video kind of facts, actually, let me just, so this made me think of my old friend Brett. He was funny for so many reasons. I'm assuming he's still alive, but I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. But we were in Edinburgh, Scotland one year. We were there at the same time as he was. So we ended up getting on a bus. I think we wanted to do a learn about Edinburgh bus tour, but they were sold out or whatever. So we just got on a bus that drives you around, but didn't have like the earbuds or a guide. It just drove you around. And so he called it Brett's bullshit tours. And all he was doing was going to buildings and saying, like, this is when the so and so. But it was so convincing that I'm sure certain people, if like he was set up there with a mic and stuff, people would have like believed him because it wasn't so asinine. Um, I just think that in itself, like bullshit tours is a funny idea. But what if it was like bullshit music bingo?
Ooh.
Like fake facts about this song by Aerosmith. Did you know that Steven Tyler is in fact a woman? Like despite the fact that he's got a mustache, look at the mic stand. Like there's so many things, right? Like, he, I don't even know if that's funny, but uh, there's a lot that could be done there too. That could, even if I could develop a pattern for that, for me and the other fellows in the band for a show where we actually are like, not only are you playing a song, but you've got something to say about it that's fun and interesting. It isn't just facts, but actually some sort of uh,
Just like faking it as you go. Like I could see that. Kind of like there's a yeah. My my mom was in an orchestra and they used to just joke like play your best and fake the rest. Like it was a small community orchestra. So it's kind of like that. Like there's a lot, I'm sure there's a lot of that in music where it's like, let's not take this, you know, I don't have having fun with it and having that be part of it, not taking yourself too seriously with something like this.
oh, for sure. Like even when we pitch the show, I always say watch for middle-aged dudes butcher the classics. We're actually excellent musicians. We're really
I
good,
like that tagline. That is
right?
good.
But we set the expectation low that you under promise and over deliver. It's kind of funny in itself. It's kind of true because when you go to see our show, we do a bunch of great women's country tunes like Carrie Underwood's not Carrie Fisher, not Princess Leia, Carrie Underwood's "Before He Cheats." Well, we either have to bring some woman up on stage to do karaoke, and almost always there's a volunteer. But if they don't, we're like, oh, I guess someone in the band's singing it, and then you're just watching a guy butcher the song right as best as he can. And it's actually a lot of fun. Like nobody minds, it seems, so long as it's not like some sort of pro gig, like where we're doing a corporate function.
Okay.
But I would like to take it beyond just having fun with the song. It's the interaction about the song would be neat to do. Like where we could develop a style or a pattern where you don't have to memorize anything. You're like storytelling the song somehow, like develop some sort of style where it's not something you have to think about. It's more like just flows somehow. I like the bullshit tours thing. Like, go from song to song every 30 seconds and you're kind of riding this wave of enjoying the music, chance to win bingo, sing along with your friends, and a little comedy along the way would be a pretty enjoyable night. And as you know, I want to incorporate hypnosis too. So getting people to actually like have already been in trance, and I can have planted suggestions earlier. Like I've already had. I think I told you I've got plans for that, right? All right, not plans, not even a plan. It's a thought nugget, but just getting someone in that state, tell them that if once you hear the Van Halen's "Jump," you're going to be fixated on the fact that Bill, the bass player, is wearing space boots and somehow isn't jumping high enough. So when the song starts, you're going to be trying to turn on his rocket boots, and the crowd know that that's coming. So as soon as you hear that song, the dun 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 dun, dun and the Van Halen open, there's gonna be a lot of people that are like, oh, here comes, look for that guy with the brown baseball cap. Oh, there he goes. And sure enough, you get out of the crowd, doesn't know why, and all of a sudden he's like manically trying to fix Bill's boots. Right? Like these are the kind of things that I think about. So,
well, I like it. I would go see that. That would be fun.
Yeah. So yeah, you can. That's part of the material too. Like I was saying to you, like building up a repertoire of parts for those days, weeks, months thing. Like just have such a back catalog that you can pull on it, and you can keep your favorites too, so you could always be testing them, and then let the top ones rise to the top. But for me, I think I need to almost like for every song have some sort of, because if we did this a couple nights a week, we wouldn't want to play Jump every night of the week. We wouldn't have, and I also wouldn't want to do a hypnosis show where the joke is always the same. It would be more like trying to read the room, making sure the music is fresh, and knowing how to pull some sort of nugget from each song. So if you were to play Back in Black by AC/DC, and then I'm completely just pulling something out of the air, what would you, knowing that song was coming up, what might you do to plant a suggestion in someone earlier that when that song comes on and they hear AC/DC Back in Black, how they might respond in that song?
I don't know why this came to me. What I was thinking is like that one of the members of your band doesn't have any clothes on, and they're responsible for trying to cover them up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, you don't want hands near parts, so maybe not that. But or like use something to cover them up, like if you have a sheet available or a towel or something like that.
Yeah, like they're convinced the person is naked, and they're doing what they can.
And I was thinking Back in Black, clothing, what's tied to clothing. For some reason, that's what came to mind.
No, and that's very helpful because now I don't. Now I could actually put that idea to like 20 songs. So because not every song needs one. It's be like like with jump, it's something to do with your feet, right? So I could have all my foot songs. I could have all my not that I chase out foot songs, but
Where are you, Tarantino?
yeah, all the songs where someone in the band is naked. Or like man, I told you we actually did this once, right? My friend Richard Cole came out and it was so much fun. I was just drumming. I was the drummer that night. But he had convinced our friend Nikki that my drumsticks were out of tune.
Yeah.
So, we start playing. She's now just gets up, like, just carrying on normally. And then all of a sudden she's just like on the stage, like getting me to give her my drumsticks. I'm trying to play. And I'm like throwing them to her and she's got them and she's like frustrated, right? And we're throwing sticks back and forth. And it was an awesome moment. And I asked her later what she remembered. She's like, it sounded like you were hitting the drums with 2x4s. Like her mind heard ka-chung, ka-chung, ka-chung. Like it just sounded
Okay.
inaudible. And yet we sounded like to anyone else.
Right.
But in her mind, because the suggestion was planted, that's what she heard. Richard always, I remember this too, because Richard would always, I don't know if he would always, but I think it was one of his favorites, is he would teach people to giggle if they heard the word arugula. And so now that's like 2 years ago.
Okay.
I saw Nikki like 5 months ago, and she mentioned that if she hears the word, she immediately still just giggles. Like she just
Wow.
it's she can't control it. Not necessarily control
Okay.
it, but like it just comes out. Like she's either remembers how nice it felt because when
Oh.
you're in hypnosis, you're in a deep sleep. You're already
Yeah.
calm, and so you want to return to that state. Which is why I could go on this forever. But like you can actually buy headsets now that teach you how to meditate, and part of
Okay.
it is once it can tell you've reached that state, it'll play birds. And the reason it does that is then when you go for a walk next time and you hear birds, your mind will go back to that quiet state, like automatically. So you're just like, I need to go for a walk where there's birds, and as soon as you start hearing it, you can go from like a 9 out of 10 anxiety down to like a 3, just by triggering a previous response that your brain remembers.
Wow.
So.
There's one more thing I wanted to share. I had heard a quote. It was just yesterday. I watched a comedy podcast, and it's where there will be professional comedians, and sometimes they'll actually give advice. So somebody does like a minute of comedy, and then they do this whole interview. And this guy, as he was like being interviewed, there was hilarious things he was saying that was based on real experiences. And the quote that stood out was the professional comedian said, "Let how fucked up your life is be funny."
Mm-hmm.
Like figure out the way to use that, because it was hilarious, but he just hadn't worked it into his material. So it's just interesting for like me and you, where we have these really interesting, weird experiences or past trauma, and just trying to figure out how to let some of that wildness be funny or like help other people in a funny way. And there's ways that we could do that.
100%. Even just talking about it and being able to laugh about it afterwards, that's all it is, an experience. It was something that was going to happen. It's happening for you, not to you, is how you can eventually laugh at it.
And possibly the last thing here. We had talked about this before, but I had heard in a podcast, like every comedian should let the audience feel comfortable about something. And what I started to think about is every like very famous comedian that I can think of does that. And so I was going through a list in my head thinking what they make the audience feel comfortable with. So Nate Bargatze makes the audience feel comfortable with being dumb. Let's see, like Rodney Dangerfield makes the audience feel comfortable with being like insecure about yourself or your wife.
Yeah.
Almost any comedian, Jerry Seinfeld, make you feel comfortable with being annoyed at the little things in life. I mean, name another comedian. I think we could do it with any famous comedian. What they make the audience feel comfortable with.
I had to think about that with some because I immediately was like, well, what would Eddie Murphy? But he hasn't done it in a long time, and at the time, he kind of developed his own style. But the other thing that you said about Rodney Dangerfield is he was so ahead of his time because really we're all uncomfortable with relationships. So it doesn't because he wasn't always talking about his wife. A lot of it was his wife, right? But it really was like some guy at the car lot, and he was always Rodney was always the butt of the joke based on how he felt about himself in that situation and would always take the road that meant the other person get benefited.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais comfortable with being an a-hole sometimes. Um, I was just going through my head, and I think for every single one that I could think of, who's like well known enough where you could think of some of the material, you could think of something that they help the. There's comedians that make you feel okay about feeling like a bad parent sometimes, or not liking your parents, or being frustrated in your marriage, or just about everything, and it relates with those people really really well.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm blocking on his name now. Black dude had his own TV show, then disappeared for 10 years, and now he's back.
Oh,
And
Chappelle.
yeah, so what is he? Because he's really inventive.
He's
So I don't,
amazing.
right? Like I don't know. Does he make you? He's observing other people. He does make fun of himself though. He did a bit where he talked about his son going to a uh,
Nick Cannon's house.
no.
There's one about that. Okay.
He's always in the movies with The Rock.
Oh, Kevin Hart. Yes, I remember that bit.
It's
Yes.
so funny, right? But at the end of the day, Kevin Hart wasn't the butt of that joke. It was like him as a dad thinking he's hot
Yes.
shit, but his kid's only interested in Kevin Hart, and it's just like how kind of
Yeah.
humble.
So I think he's advanced so far where every set or every bit even can make you feel something different. So in that one, it's feeling inadequate or like you'll never, be what you want to be for your kids. Like because I'm thinking of so many. I've watched all of his specials and everything. And I don't think there's one clear one just because he's so versatile when it comes to the stories he tells and his different performances. Yeah, he's not afraid to make himself the butt of a joke.
Yeah,
A lot of it is observational, so there's like different things to take away from each of those. So that's interesting.
but also like highly intelligent. Like
Oh
some of
yeah.
his jokes, he totally like where did that come from? And
And
it's
some he makes intentionally like really stupid and simple. Like it will seem like it's going to be intelligent, and then he'll bring it back to something that's just the dumbest punchline. But it's funny just because of the journey that he took you on to get there. And
yeah.
Norm Macdonald was amazing at that too.
He's
We've
I think
talked a lot about Norm Macdonald though. So what would Norm Macdonald be? I think like he making yourself not realizing you're not important, or like not taking things too seriously just because he would have the dumbest jokes and they would only be funny because he was telling them.
oh yeah, he could take the joke was so tiny, but it took 5 minutes to get there that you had to keep going like where was this going again? And and he didn't seem to know, and he was comfortable with that, and so you just went along for the ride. Bill Burr's the other one I was thinking about as you're saying that. Like he
Oh, okay to be angry about everything.
frustrated,
I
right?
thought about him too. Yep, he was one of the ones that came right to mind. Like his whole thing is about being frustrated with things and like and okay to take a different side of things too. Not having to cave into what everybody else is thinking. There's a
Yeah.
couple things there, but that's one of them too with him.
I think I heard him talk about his process, or maybe it was in one of his sets. But like, he goes and does a tour to let it all out, and then he goes home and he watches the news and he gets frustrated and he's basically building up bile. Like he's just like it's just festering, and then it kind of must reach some sort of boil where he's like, okay, it's ready to come out again. And because I mean, I suppose if you tell that would be a tough one. Like, can you really show up and be frustrated and angry about something that you've told 100 times? Like, can you really pull to the depths of that every single time? He delivers it so well that
He does.
apparently you can, but
He does, and
it
it's the same with comedians who have told that joke 100 times and they still laugh like it's hilarious to them, even though they don't, and it sounds genuine. That's something I haven't done. I definitely haven't mastered by any means.
well. And do you think they're? I wonder, like, or they actually still believe it. That's why they still deliver it, so they can deliver it with the same oomph. Like
Not the whole laugh afterwards and the act of them laughing, like keeling over because what they said is so funny that they said for the 100th time. No, you don't. And no joke that you've heard that many times and said yourself, do you think is that funny every time? You're doing it to enhance the experience for the audience. It's part of your performance. It's not because you're genuinely laughing at the joke you just told.
yeah. Well, and So just on Burr, like he's got probably so much content. I'm sure he's got extras, so he probably keeps a bit of it fresh every night. Like I'm sure or maybe he just goes and does his
I
thing.
don't know.
It's always the same.
It's
But
pretty planned. I'm sure there's little tangents and stuff all the time. I mean, he's that good. He can do crowd work. I've seen him do some, and yeah, yeah.
fascinating. I mean, the more we talk about it, the more I want to try it at some point. So I can feel it building as an energy. Not even just the music bingo thing, which I can hear myself pre-planning things like back the little cogs in the back of my head are turning. Um,
I still
yeah,
think you should. I'd love to see you
I
do
think
it.
it'll happen. I think it'll happen.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Are you complete today?
Yeah, that's what she said.
All right, buddy. Okay. Are we? Well, no one needs to know this. I can end the stream, but stay on here and we'll catch up.
All right, sounds good.
Good to see you, buddy.
Bye.
Cool. Watch for fancy outro. We'll use this.